Hello and welcome everyone to Asponotech channel. So today we are going to study about a very important equipment which is being used on all ships. It's a very crucial and very important equipment for the safety of ships. So we will be proceeding in this sequence. First we will be understanding what is an echo sounder and why is sound used in echo sounder. Why don't we use lights or electromagnetic energy waves? And we will have a brief discussion about the brief history of echo sounder. Then we will try to understand the principal operations that is involved behind the working and functioning of an echo sounder. Then we will try to understand what are the various settings that are being set on an echo sounder and various errors which are involved in an echo sounder that the operator or the user must be aware of, so that one knows the limitations of the equipment in order to avoid any damage or hazard. So let's move on to our next slide. So what is an echo sounder? So let's try to understand it word by word. So you know echo means any sound that is reflected sound. Like when you shout out something in a on the top of a mountain and you hear your own voice after a brief pause, or after some few, let's say after 5 seconds, 4 seconds, you hear your own sound. That is called echo. And to sound here it means to measure. That is to measure the gauge, the depth. So it is a device which is used to measure the underkeel clearance or the depth of water under the ship's keel. So one may ask that why to use sound? Why don't we use, or can we use other medium like electromagnetic waves or light radiation waves? Because it has been found out that sound is the most efficient medium for underwater work. Other forms like electromagnetic or light radiation attenuates. Basically there is a loss, there is a rapid loss of their energy, and therefore they have a very limited use underwater. So two very common equipment that are used on ships are echo sounder, that is used to measure the depth of water, and a Doppler log is used to measure the speed. Now let's have a look about the brief history. Before around in 1912, sound was first used by the German scientist named Alexander Baim to detect icebergs. Though it failed, but proved useful to measure the depth of sea. Application of echo sounding principles for submarine detection during World War II. The main line of defense for the US against enemy nuclear submarines with nukes. And after 1960 onwards, a great lot of advancements were made in using this sound technology for the purpose of detecting fish at sea. And currently the only technology to measure depths of water at sea, and which is unlikely to be replaced by anything else in the near future. Let's hope and see, and let's wait what alternatives we will see in the future. But as of now, this is the only predominant technology that we have for measuring the depths of water. So here now we'll try to understand what is the basic principle of echo sounder. So echo sounder works on the principle of reflection of acoustic energy, and here in the diagram you can see that this is the hull of a ship, and you can see where my marker is. This is the place where the transducer is fitted. Then means it sends the pulses and this is the where the receiver of the echo sounder is fitted, and this is the body of the ship, and it is on the front forward portion of the ship where the echo sounder are fitted. So it works on the principle of reflection of acoustic energy, and short pulse of sound energy is transmitted vertically down from the ship. So here the short pulses are sent downward. I will put arrow, and this is where the reflections are going back after hitting the seabed. So these pulses travels towards the sea bottom, and after hitting it, it is reflected back onto the ship. So this is the very basic fundamental of working of an echo sounder. So now how it is how the echo sounder calculates the depth. So t here is the time taken by the sound to travel from the bottom. That means it takes t times for the sound waves to travel from the transducer to the depth of the sea bottom, and it goes back. So let's say it takes time t. So in that it covers a distance, this much distance it covers, which is d, twice d is taken, and v is taken as the velocity of the sound through the water. So we can say t is equal to 2d by v, and by solving this simple equation we can measure the distance equal to v into t by 2. As you know that the speed of sound in water, in salt water, is around 1500 meter per second. So taking that, this is calculated. So now the performance of the echo sounder will depend on the accurate settings of the sound velocity and accurate measurement of time. Now if you see here previous, we have to, in measuring the underkill clearance, we have to take, since they are not fitted vertically, the transducer is fitted on the one side and the receiver is on the other side. So they have to calculate this, they adjust for this error which will come in order to find out the underkill clearance. So that correction is applied. The velocity of sound in water depends upon, these are the factors: temperature, pressure and salinity of water. And in that case the temperature plays a very important role. In normal echo sounder, the standard setting is set at 1500 meter per second for seawater at around 13 degrees centigrade. But it is corrected whenever there is a change in temperature change. And those details are provided by in the manufacturer's manual. And actually major density variation occurs basically in the Red Sea or Baltics, and whenever the ships are going to the freshwater areas, only then there is a density variation factors are taken into consideration. Otherwise in oceans mostly the density remains same, only in these specific areas, or then only density is of major concern. Otherwise temperature is the most variable thing that that the ships encounter. Now let's we'll try to understand the various sequence of working. So before that we will try to understand and know what are the components of an echo sounder. So echo sounder has got one recorder, and one is a pulse generator, transmitter, transducer, receiver and amplifier. So these are the basic 6 most important parts. So now let's start with the recorder. So a recorder can be both either a paper recorder or a digital display. So digital displays are very user friendly because it shows the bottom echo as blip. But as per the IMO regulations, it requires that the ships must have a hard copy of the past history of the depth recordings. So now we'll try to understand how does a paper recorder works. So a common paper recorder, echo sounding recorder, consists of an arm with a stylus on the end, which rotates very quickly across a slow moving electrosensitive paper, and when the transmitter fires its pulse, the stylus marks the paper at the 0 on the graduated scale. Now, as the pulse travels to the bottom and returns, the stylus moves a proportional distance at half the speed of sound across the paper. And on the detection of an echo, it again marks the paper, thus indicating the depth. Now you may ask that why half? Now it's because the stylus has to represent the to and fro journey of the pulse. So as a result, what happens? The paper, since now the paper is continuously moving on the a profile of the seabed can be seen. Now we'll try to understand the various sequences which are involved in the functioning of an echo sounder. So here you can see this is the recorder. This is the recorder, and this is the pulse generator. Here we have the transmitter, the transducer, receiver, and the amplifier. So a pulse from the pulse generator activates the transmitter, then the transmitter sends the very powerful electrical pulse to the transducer. Then the transducer converts that electrical energy into mechanical energy in the form of sound, producing sound pulse. And those sound pulse, then after hitting the sea bottom, it gets reflected back again to the transducer. And then that what the transducer does, that it converts the received sound energy back to an electrical energy in the form of electric pulse, and it sends to the receiver where the signals are processed. Then the receiver, it processes the signal and it then amplifies. Processes means any type of possible error, like the nature of the sea bottom and other, suppose the other interference. So all those things are processed, and then the signal is amplified, and then it is sent again back to the recorder. And what happens at the recorder is the stylus, which has been moving at the proportional to half the speed of sound, it creates a physical mark on the echo sounder. And on an digital display, a blip is shown. Now let's try to understand the transducer. It's a very important element of any echo sounder. So transducer is a special magnetostriction device that converts transmitted electrical energy into sound energy, and the returned sound energy into an electromagnetic force. Now magnetostriction effects occurs in all ferromagnetic material, but it is very much prominent in this kind of materials like iron, nickel, and cobalt. It is the magnetostriction effect is very pronounced, means they show the maximum response of in change in their physical outlook So ferromagnetic material, they changes their length when any electromotive force is applied on them. Similarly, when they are subjected to physical stress, they generate an electromotive force. So there is a constriction in the size of any ferromagnetic material in the whenever electromotive force is applied on them, and vice versa also, that if you change the physical form of any this kind of ferromagnetic material, it generates electromotive force. Now in an echo sounder, an alternating current, AC current basically, is used to create a magnetic flux which causes the transducer to vibrate and create a very strong sound pulse. And when and similar concept is applied, and when the sound pulse hits the transducer, an electromotive force is created between the ends of the transducer, which is later processed and amplified and then sent to the receiver and the recorder. Now let's understand the setting of a transducer. So how the transducer should be placed on a ship for a very nice and proper appropriate performance. So noise, it should be located away from noise sources like the areas of turbulence, ship's propeller and water discharge areas. So in case of ships, if there is a, mostly the echo sounders are fitted on the forward part of the ship, forward bow area. In case they are fitted, if their ships are fitted with bow thruster, then accordingly the adjustments are made and the things are placed. Aeration, these are the air bubbles that pass close to the face of transducer, and it can act as a large reflectors of the transmitted energy. So aeration is caused due to bow wave and irregularities and protrusions on the hull surface like log tubes and discharge orifices. Now transducers are usually fitted in a ship's double bottom tank. Some ships systems use separate transducers, one for transmitter and one for receivers, while other uses the same for both the purposes. We are going to see now about the various errors of echo sounder. So broadly there are 6 major errors which you have to take care. First one is draft error, second is stylus speed error, third is transmission error, fourth is velocity error, fifth is Pythagoras error, sixth is beam width. So let's first of all see what is draft error. So as you know, you can see in the diagram on the right hand top corner, this is the under kill clearance and your transducer are fitted somewhere in this region. So the system measures the depth under the transducers, and in order to convert this to the actual depth is, see, this is the, this white line you can see, this is the water depth and this is your ship's draft, small d, can you see, this is what your draft is and this is the total depth. So in order to, if you have to measure the depth of water, then you have to take into account the UKC. So most systems have zero adjustment which can be used to allow for this, but many navigators you preferably use to indicate this clearance, that is much more safer to use and convenient, and scope of confusions are very less in this. So it's better to choose this option. Next, let's come to the stylus speed error. So that happens because if your stylus is not properly synchronized for the range scale that has been chosen. In that case, if the stylus is not following up, then you will get some error in your data. Now about the transmission error. It is due to the result of stylus not being set to 0 at the scale. When the pulses are getting fired, the stylus has to be in its 0 position. If it is not there, if some error in there in the positioning of it, then you will get some error. Next comes our velocity error. So most of the devices are actually calibrated according to assuming that because the speed of sound in salty water is around 1500 meter per second. Now the actual velocity will differ if depends upon what is the density of the water in which the ship is sailing. If it is in fresh water, in that case there is a lower velocity, because in fresh water conductivity of sound is less, that is around 1430, that is 1430 meter per second. So it will give you a higher reading in measurement of whether you are measuring under kill clearance or depth. So since sound in fresh water will be traveling at a lower speed, so in that case what will happen, that it will be taking a longer time for traveling from the bottom and back to the receiver. So echo sounder will multiply this time with higher velocity settings, and that by that way you will get a higher than the actual depth. So that is very dangerous, because if you are having lesser depth and you are getting higher readings on your echo sounder, then you are likely to get into grounding situation if sailing in shallow water. Now in the Red Sea, the readings are 5% lower due to the increased temperature and salinity. Because the salinity is high, so readings are 5% low. So that means you will be getting smaller depth in your bridge monitor than the actual depth. So there echo sounding correction tables are provided with chart 5330 that contains appropriated corrections. Now let's try to understand the Pythagoras error. So as you know that on many ships actually the transducers for the transmitter and the receivers are separated. So when you are using two transducers for transceiver and receiver, then let's say they are if they are separated by a distance d, say this distance is d, in that case what will happen then, and this is your say I, and you need, this is your corrected depth CD. So corrected depth is CD will be given by I square minus d by t whole square, root under I square minus d by 2 square. So then you will get this corrected depth, which has to be taken into account in order to get the actual depth. And in case it is actually negligible in the depth water, deep water, but in shallow water it becomes prominent, so it has to be taken into consideration. Now next comes our beam width. Now as you can see from the diagram, this is where your transducer is there for the transceiver, and this is your receiver transceiver. So in that case, if the beam is narrow, it is possible that in shallow water depth under the receiver side may not be detected. You can see here the depth is actually shallow, but your transducer is getting your data from this side, so it will naturally give you show you more depth. But in reality, if you go to your port side, then on the receiver side you are actually in shallow water. So this is also can be very very it can lead you into trouble. So you have to take into consideration to this also. That is beam width, error due to beam width. Now understand another kind of error that many of the echo sounder are subjected to this error, that is the false or spurious echoes. So in an echo sounder, the stylus should ideally record only echoes from the bottom of the seabed. But in practice, what happens that there are many other obstructions that comes in between the transducer and the sea bottom, like noise and reverberations. We'll see what reverberations are before that. So these echoes can be minimized by proper use of controls on the echo sounder. So you have to choose your range scale and gain very judiciously according to the draft and the nature of the seabed. You have to choose your gain adjustment. So to which the watchkeeping officer has to be very much cautious and aware of it. Now let's see what are the noises. Various noises which affects the your data are the interferences caused by other equipments on board, like from radio transmitters etc., which might be placed very near to your equipment, and also noise generated by electrical and electronic components. And there are other errors which could be induced due to mechanical noises like ship's machinery and propellers, and also biological noise from the sea, various ambient noise from the sea, or thermal molecular motion from seawater. Now let's see what are the kind of reverberations. These are echoes from anything in the sea other than sea bottom. What could be all these reverberations are? That a layer or microorganisms usually found at a depth of about 200 fathoms by day and at lesser depth by night. There could be particles in suspension which could be floating and down below. So your pulses from your transceiver could hit back, got reflected upon hitting those particles and give you a false data, false signal on your receiver. Also air bubbles under the hull caused by ship movements, they can cause which might get worsen when going astern movements. There could be shoals of fish down below and boundaries of dissimilar layers in the sea. So all this could give you reverberations and that might give you faulty results. So you have to be cautious and be vigilant and check your adjustments on the settings are set properly and be vigilant. So actually echo sounder is quite very basic and very easy to operate. Only you need to require some periodical adjustments of only two controls. Basically the correct range has been chosen and also the zero correction error has been set properly in your echo sounder, and check the gain settings, and on your paper recorder check that the papers change of paper has been done on time and those things are monitored. Then it's quite handy equipment and is a very important equipment on board. I hope that that the video has met your requirements and it could have added some valuable benefits to you. I shall be very much thankful to receive your comments and feedback. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.